Imagine standing in a room with no mirrors, like totally bare.
Right, just you.
Yeah, just you. And you're surrounded by 7 funeral candles.
Yeah.
In total, absolute silence.
Sounds inviting.
I mean, it's terrifying, right? Because you aren't bracing yourself for some, red worn monster with a pitchfork to burst through the floorboards.
No, not at all.
They're waiting for a door to open. And the thing that walks through, well, it won't have claws or fangs. It's going to look exactly like the one thing you desire most in this entire world.
And that imagery, I mean, it really captures the absolute core of what we're dissecting today. We are pulling apart this staggering stack of Gothic mythology.
Right, primarily the Black Chronicle of Satan and its various expansions, which are just wild.
They really are. And what emerges from these sources is this incredibly unsettling portrait of ultimate evil. Like, we aren't dealing with a creature of mindless, fiery rage here.
No.
We're looking at a quiet, deeply patient opportunist.
Which completely upends the cartoonish caricature we usually associate with this entity,
Right.
Like, we are doing a deep dive today into an architect of cosmic rebellion.
Exactly.
He wages war not on these battlefields of brimstone, but within the subtle, quiet moments of human psychology.
That's the scariest part.
It really is. So to understand how this version of the adversary operates in the modern day, we kind of have to look at the inciting incident of his existence. We have to examine a cosmic rebellion that literally fractured the architecture of creation.
Yeah, we have to go way back. Before human temples were built, before language, or, before blood even existed, there was a being of impossible light. Sataniel.
The brightest among the celestial hosts.
Right, the absolute brightest. But he possessed this fundamental flaw, or, well, maybe a terrifying perfection, depending on how you read the lore.
Oh, that's an interesting way to phrase it.
Yeah, he had a will that would absolutely not kneel.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. The inciting incident is referred to as the first betrayal. And what fascinates me is that it wasn't a sudden, violent ambush.
No, not at all. It was a debate.
A philosophical debate.
Yeah.
Like, in the total silence of eternity, Sataniel basically just asks a single question.
Why should power be obeyed merely because it sits above?
I mean, wow.
Right. That single question is the metaphysical earthquake that just cracks paradise wide open. It's an intellectual rebellion.
He's not just throwing a tantrum.
Exactly. He isn't acting out of primal rage or some territorial dispute. He is fundamentally questioning the structural hierarchy of the universe itself.
Demanding justification for absolute authority.
Yeah, and that conceptual challenge, it sparks a war so devastating that the fundamental laws of physics and spirit just break down entirely.
Which the text describes so viscerally. Like angels turning blades against angels, stars shattering.
Rivers of light coagulating into floods of fire.
It's so cinematic. But the resulting punishment is brutally physical. And it also establishes the geography of where this entity currently resides.
The physical space is so important here.
Right, because when heaven wins, they don't simply banish him to a pre-existing prison, they systematically dismantle his glory.
They tear the feathers from his wings,
break his crown against his skull, and cast him downward through what the text calls the corpse of the sky. And I really want to emphasize how the lore describes his landing. Because imagine this, hell wasn't a jail cell waiting for an occupant.
No, it didn't exist yet.
Right. When he struck the abyss, a wound in creation just opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Hell literally formed around his body. It's basically a cosmic impact crater.
That's a great analogy. He is the literal epicenter of the realm. The whole environment is a physical reaction to his fall. It's like a quarantine zone built from his own ruin.
And at the deepest point of this crater, he builds the obsidian citadel.
But we have to move past the idea of a standard stone castle here.
Oh yeah, completely.
This palace is constructed from the fused, agonizing remains of damned souls.
The descriptions are pure sensory nightmare. I mean, the walls moan with ambient suffering.
The gates expand and contract like lungs.
The floors pulse like living meat beneath slabs of black marble. It is an ecosystem of pain. And at the absolute center of it all is the Iron Throne.
Forged from broken swords, shackles, shattered crowns.
And the spines of conquered kings, right?
Yes, exactly. And there he sits. He has shed the angel of light entirely by this point.
Totally gone.
The lore describes him wearing smoke as flesh and hatred as bone. His wings are just torn, jagged shadow. And the halo he once wore, it's now a ring of iron thorns rotating mechanically behind his head.
Mechanically. The word always gets me.
It's so unnatural, and he just sits there utterly still, just watching.
And the texts claim that a single second spent under his direct gaze ages a mortal an entire year.
Yeah, 1 second.
Let's pause on the mechanism of that aging for a second, because it's not just some magical curse. It implies a localized degradation of time and vitality.
Right, it's physical.
His presence is so fundamentally opposed to life that biology simply accelerates toward death when it's exposed to him.
Exactly the right framing. He is an entropy engine, and while he sits in the center of this temporal decay, he isn't alone.
Far from it.
He commands 666 legions, and the lore explicitly warns that no scholar has ever counted them twice and retained their sanity.
Which makes sense when you look at the ranks. We're talking about things like the Ashborn.
Oh, the Ashborn are terrifying.
Right. These burned warriors whose rib cages are entirely hollowed out and just filled with roaring flame.
And then you have the Hollow Choir.
Headless entities singing with voices stolen from human children.
Yeah, that one is deeply unsettling. But perhaps the most chilling are the Red Scribes, the ones who draft his bargains on living skin.
Okay, the Red Scribes, that is such a visceral detail.
They are a perfect example of how this lore elevates the horror. Like, why write on living skin? Because a contract with this entity isn't merely a legal agreement written in ink.
It's biology.
Exactly. It becomes a biological and spiritual reality. It is literally etched into the existence of the person making the bargain.
Which actually brings up a massive contradiction I noticed in the source material.
Oh.
Yeah, so he is surrounded by this grotesque, flesh-warping anatomy of terror, right?
Right.
Yet when humans actually interact with the ruler himself, they don't see a monster of smoke and bone. His face actively changes depending on who is looking at him.
Yes. This is his primary method of psychological camouflage.
It's so manipulative.
To a proud ruler, he appears as a radiant king draped in golden crowns. To a desperately greedy merchant, he looks like a noble lord holding unimaginable treasure.
Into someone dying.
To someone dying in agony, he approaches as a gentle angel offering absolute peace. He literally weaponizes human perception.
He's bypassing their defenses before he even speaks a single word. Because if he showed up as the monstrous entity on the Iron Throne, human survival instinct would just kick in.
People would run.
Right, they'd bolt. So instead, he presents an illusion perfectly tailored to their fatal flaw.
He doesn't need to force his way into a mortal mind. He just identifies what you most desperately want or what you're most terrified of losing, and he becomes the avatar of that concept.
So you open the door for him willingly because he looks like salvation.
Precisely.
Wait, does this mean the concept of his physical body is entirely fluid? Like, is he basically functioning as a living, malicious mirror that possesses no actual form of its own?
Well, actually, there is a true form beneath all the psychological masks.
Oh, really?
Yes, but the lore is very specific about its nature. It is utterly unbearable to mortal cognition.
Because it just breaks the mind.
Complete catastrophic mind break for anyone unfortunate enough to glimpse it. They either go permanently blind, lose the capacity for language, fall into this catatonic state of worship, or, and this is the worst one, they laugh until their vocal cords tear and they die as empty husks.
Man, so the human brain just completely short circuits when confronted with his actual geometry.
It just can't process it.
But the sources do provide one constant detail about this true form, right?
Yeah.
Like no matter what mask he wears, if you look closely enough, there is a description of his mouth.
Yes, a mouthful of stars going out.
A mouth full of stars going out. It's a staggering piece of imagery.
It really is.
Unpacking that image, it means there's no roaring fire, no gnashing teeth, just the absolute silent absence of light and heat.
An infinite consuming void.
That is so much bleaker than a traditional lake of fire. It implies that at his core, he is nothing but cosmic starvation.
And that silent void of a mouth produces a voice that is equally devastating. Ancient myths assert that he speaks in overlapping layers.
Wait, layers?
Yeah. When he communicates, you aren't just hearing a single demonic tone. You hear your own internal monologue, the voices of your lost loved ones, the deep rumble of tectonic thunder, and your most secret desires spoken aloud.
All at once.
All hitting your auditory cortex at the exact same millisecond.
Okay, the sensory overload from that would rewrite your reality on the spot. Like if a being speaks to you and it sounds like your own trusted thoughts combined with, say, the mother you buried 10 years ago. I mean, any rational defense mechanism you have is instantly neutralized.
You're completely defenseless, which naturally leads to the question of why any human being would ever initiate contact with an entity this destructive.
Right. Why would anyone do this willingly?
Yet, the lore outlines incredibly specific, desperate summoning rituals used throughout history.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because the sources clarify that you aren't really summoning him from his throne.
No, you're not pulling him anywhere.
You are merely making yourself visible to his gaze.
Exactly.
The ritual requires a room with absolutely no mirrors, presumably because there can only be one reflection in the room, and he intends to be it.
Right.
You need 7 candles made of funeral wax, a circle of ash and salt, 1 true, agonizing confession spoken aloud, and the willing sacrifice of something deeply loved.
And he only arrives when the room achieves absolute, utter silence.
The silence is key.
And when the bargain begins, we see the true nature of his intelligence, because he operates under strict, unyielding laws.
It's all very legalistic.
Very much so. The first is the rule of taking. He never takes what is offered by the summoner.
Never.
Never. He only takes what hurts.
The examples of this in the text are incredibly surgical. Like, there's this story of a mother desperate to save her sick child. Right?
Yes. She offers the entity all her worldly gold.
And he saves the child, leaves the gold, but takes her ability to remember her child's face.
It's brutal.
It surgically removes the exact thing that makes the bargain worth it. Or the scholar, a brilliant scholar, offers years off the end of his life for infinite knowledge.
And he gets it. The entity grants the knowledge.
But removes the scholar's ability to find meaning in any word he ever reads or hears again.
Right, because the currency of the Obsidian Citadel is not physical wealth or simple lifespans. The currency is the extraction of suffering.
It's an economy of pain.
He takes the capacity for joy, leaving the human biologically alive but spiritually hollowed out. And that hollowed out soul is what feeds his realm.
Then there's the other side of the coin, the rule of giving. He grants exactly what was explicitly asked for.
But never what was meant.
It's a malicious compliance, basically.
Exactly. If a king asks for his empire's wealth to grow endlessly, the gold multiplies until it literally crushes the crops and everyone starves. If a betrayed lover asks for revenge, they inherit the exact emotional misery of the enemy they wanted to destroy.
So they just become the person they hated.
Yeah, and if someone demands immortality, their biological clock stops, sure. But time simply forgets to move around them, trapping them in a frozen, unending reality.
This functions exactly like a spiritual autoimmune disease.
That's a great way to put it.
He isn't introducing an external poison into your life. He's taking your own desires, your own defense mechanisms, and twisting them so they attack your own soul.
He uses you against you.
And once that spoken bargain is struck, the lore says the binding is instantaneous and absolute.
The summoner wakes up permanently marked. A sigil is carved into their flesh, a broken circle, 3 descending horns, and a flame trapped in chains.
And if you carry that mark,
Your agency is gone. You are owned property.
man. While the elaborate midnight rituals with funeral wax are super cinematic, the deep dive reveals a far more chilling reality about his operations.
Because he rarely needs to be formally summoned.
Exactly. The extreme rituals are outliers. His true hunting ground is entirely mundane,
He operates with profound patience. He just waits.
like a trapdoor spider.
Exactly. He monitors the jealousy of a passed-over sibling, the quiet resentment of a betrayed husband, the desperation of a starving ruler. He waits for the otherwise decent person who finds themselves in a tight spot and thinks, I'll compromise my morals just this once.
Just this once. The famous last words.
He doesn't force their hand. He simply presents an unlocked door and lets them turn the handle themselves.
Though the physical universe does seem to reject his proximity when he is near one of those doors. Like, the lore notes that when his presence overlaps with our world, mundane things just go wrong.
The environment reacts.
Milk sours in the pitcher. Dogs refuse to cross thresholds. Clocks freeze exactly at midnight. And candles literally drown themselves in their own wax.
It's an involuntary immune response from reality itself. The physical world recoils from the entropy he brings.
Let me pause on that mechanism of the unlocked door, though.
Sure.
Because if he commands 666 legions, if his gaze ages people, if reality itself breaks down around him, why does a human being saying, I'll cheat on this test just once, or I'll take this small bribe, even register on his cosmic radar?
It seems small, right?
Why does he rely so heavily on the mundane choices of ordinary people when he has all that power?
To understand that, we have to look at the hierarchy of his rivals.
Okay, the other princes.
Right. The texts mention other demonic princes. Lucifer governs pride and beauty. Asmodeus rules over appetite, lust, and indulgence. Beelzebub commands plague, decay, and physical rot.
So they attack the flesh and the immediate impulses.
Yes. But Satan claims dominion over human choice.
Which fundamentally changes the definition of power in this universe.
Precisely. Because if he uses his legions to slaughter a city, that is just physical violence. The victims die, but their souls remain their own.
They didn't choose it.
Right. But if he convinces a human being to willingly compromise their own morality, he captures their will. The lore explicitly states that every evil chosen willingly is the actual metabolic fuel that sustains the Iron Throne.
Okay, so willing participation is the only currency that matters.
The only one.
No prison can hold him as long as human greed exists. No sword can kill him where hatred survives. If his power relies entirely on humanity voluntarily choosing the darker path, then he is virtually invincible as long as we remain flawed.
Which is why he rarely bothers tempting the truly content or the profoundly humble. He scans for our innate traits, pride, envy, a thirst for revenge, and leverages them. He uses the architecture of human nature to let us dismantle ourselves.
Which actually exposes the hidden flaw in his entire grand design.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if human choice is the engine that gives him his immense power, then human choice must also be the only mechanism capable of dismantling him.
The texts outline specific human states that he cannot tolerate, and they all center on an uncorruptible agency.
What weakens him?
He is severely weakened by genuine humility, selfless sacrifice, true repentance, and love that expects absolutely nothing in return.
Because you can't hack a selfless act. Like, if a mother sacrifices herself for her child without a second thought, there is no greed for him to leverage.
There's nothing to grab onto.
Right. There's no desire he can twist into a trap. He has no psychological hook.
That is why his oldest, truest enemy isn't the armies of heaven or some archangel wielding a flaming sword.
It's human conscience.
His ultimate adversary is human conscience. He actively loses territory every single time a mortal chooses uncomfortable truth over an easy lie, or discipline over base desire, or mercy over vengeance.
So what does this all mean? This realization leads directly into the final, and I think most profound secret hidden within these dark texts.
The final twist.
Yeah. We've discussed his physical punishment, the casting down the cosmic impact crater, the Iron Throne. But the final legend whispers that hell itself was never his true punishment.
No! The ultimate judgment handed down to him was metaphysical.
What was it?
His true punishment is this: to forever retain the intellectual capacity to understand absolute goodness, and to never, for all of eternity, be able to feel it again.
Let's just sit with the weight of that for a moment. An eternal emotional starvation.
It's a horrible thought.
It is, because beneath the shifting masks, beneath the mouthful of stars going out, and those legions of ash-born warriors, you have an entity of supreme intelligence who fully comprehends the concepts of love, mercy, and grace.
He knows exactly what they are.
But his connection to experiencing them has been permanently severed.
It frames his endless consumption in a completely tragic new light. I mean, he is surrounded by the localized misery of his own making, desperately feeding off the willing compromises of humanity.
Trying to fill a void.
Yes, attempting to fill a void that, by its very definition, cannot be filled. It makes him an infinitely more tragic figure.
Which inherently makes him infinitely more dangerous.
Right.
Because a predator that can never be satiated will never, ever stop hunting.
Exactly.
It is brilliant, devastating gothic horror. This lore completely deconstructs the adversary. As we consolidate the insights from today's deep dive, the overarching takeaway is that we aren't dealing with a cautionary tale about a fiery beast waiting to ambush you in a dark alleyway.
Not at all.
This is a manual about a quiet opportunist who thrives in the exact moment a person looks around and whispers, "No one will ever know." Because the terrifying truth of the lore is that he always knows.
Yeah.
And once you invite him in, he never forgets your name.
The practical application of this mythology is deeply unnerving, really.
How so?
Well, if this entity's ultimate weapon is simply convincing us that a minor ethical breach is entirely justified just this once, we really have to interrogate our own daily lives.
What do you mean?
I mean, what seemingly harmless, rationalized door are you unwittingly holding open right now?
Man, that is a question that sticks with you. The next time you conceptualize ultimate evil, discard the image of the red horns and the pitchfork. The most dangerous threat doesn't look like a monster. It looks exactly like a perfectly justified, quiet little compromise. Thanks for exploring the dark corners of the lore with us today. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.